Hello everyone, welcome to the series on environment. Our story today is about the Sustainable Finance for Tiger Landscapes Conference. So, what is this Finance for Tiger Landscapes Conference? It was actually hosted by the Bhutan government with the support of Tiger Conservation Coalition. Let me write it here. So, what is this Tiger Conservation Coalition in the first place? So, Tiger Conservation Coalition is a group of independent organizations, and the basic focus is tiger conservation, as it is clearly mentioned. So, it's a group of independent organizations as IUCN. I mean, its member organizations include IUCN, UNDP, and the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, and the Wildlife Conservation Society. So it brings together leading biologists and also experts in wildlife. So this conference basically aims to increase support for tiger conservation. So how does it happen is basically how it will do, in the sense it uses new financial strategies, and global partnerships as well. New financial strategies, in the sense we'll discuss it in the initiatives of the Sustainable Finance for Tiger Landscapes Conference. So basically it uses new financial strategies and global partnerships in order to provide the support. I mean, it basically seeks to mobilize $1 billion as additional funding by 2034 for the purpose of tiger landscape conservation. Okay, so the initiatives of this conference include its new financial strategies as the Tiger Landscape Investment Fund. So what is this Tiger Landscape Investment Fund is? Let me write it here. It was basically presented by the UNDP, and it uses nature positive business approach. So what is, in simple terms, nature positive business approach implies you create a positive environment, a positive impact on the nature, at the same time you thrive as a business. Consider, for instance, in simple terms, the Tesla as an organization is revolutionizing the electric vehicle market. It is trying to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. At the same time, it is providing clean energy solutions, or the green energy solution. It's depending more on renewable sources of energy, and trying to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels, which leads to climate change mitigation, that is better environment, reduced greenhouse gas emissions, reduced pollution, better quality of air, water as a whole. So all of this is going to create a positive impact on the environment, right? At the same time, they're thriving as a business. So this is nature positive business approach. So this Tiger Landscape Investment Fund basically utilizes this kind of approach. I mean, consider, for instance, and another example of this is Wipro committed to achieve net zero emissions by 2040, which is going to have a huge positive impact on the environment in terms of reduced greenhouse gas emissions, climate change mitigation. It can lead to the conservation of biodiversity also, because you're achieving net zero emissions, in the sense you're trying to reduce the carbon footprint as a whole. So this all comes under nature positive business approach. So when you're trying to utilize Tiger Landscape Investment Fund, one of their major focus can be in terms of afforestation, or you can say ecotourism is one way of utilizing the nature positive business approach, or agroforestry, which comes under sustainable agriculture again. So in ecotourism, what happens is those tourists will be created an awareness. I mean, those tourists who travel to those areas near those tiger habitats, they'll be guided, and these guidance services with regards to the conservation will be provided by those local communities. So for providing those services, these local communities will be provided economic incentive, which means it is creating them an alternative source of livelihood, creating to them. So also in case of agroforestry, what happens is they'll try to integrate all the trees, shrubs, crop plants, and also those livestock into one place at the same time. I mean, into a single area, so that these trees can provide shade to those animals, they can provide fruits, they can provide medicine. At the same time, they can help in improving the quality of the soil, that particular soil, I mean, by the twigs, or you can say the leaves and all. So it means it is providing, I mean, with the fruits and with the medicine and all, they're getting an alternative source of livelihood. Their crops thrive as well with improved quality of soil. So that means when they have an alternative source of livelihood, they stop depending upon the deforestation activity for the purpose of timber, firewood, or fuel, which actually was their source of livelihood. Okay, so when they do deforestation, what happens is the habitat of tiger is usually lost, right? So when we provide them these alternative sources of livelihood, when we utilize this fund for these purposes, what happens is we are providing them economic incentives. That means we are providing them alternative sources of livelihood, which leads to tiger conservation. And also these products which these farmers produce, which these local communities produce, can be sourced to some agro business community also. So in this way the fund can be utilized for these purposes, and again these people in return get the, I mean, what you can say, economic incentive for selling these products of, I mean, medicine to these agro business industries. So this is what it is actually, nature positive business approach. In simple terms, you can consider afforestation, like if companies try to, I mean, not countries, I mean, if the companies try to source or fund those projects which actually actively involve in afforestation, or which actively involve in, what I mean to say, renewable energy projects, that can also be a nature positive business approach. Another example for the initiatives is the tiger bonds by the Asian Development Bank, and it basically encourages what, private investment. And with regards to the habitat of tigers, in India especially, the Eastern Ghats, the Western Ghats landscape, then the Central India, then the Northeastern Hills, then the Brahmaputra floodplains, then we can say the Shivaliks, then the Gangetic plains. All of this comes under a habitat of the tiger, of the Indian tiger. I mean, these are all the tiger landscapes in India. Again, within India, the highest number of tigers are available in Madhya Pradesh, followed by Karnataka, then followed by Uttarakhand. And what are the various tiger reserve, I mean, tiger range countries all over the world is include Bhutan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, China, and India, Kazakhstan, and then you have Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, then you have Nepal, then you have Myanmar, then you have Russia, Laos, and Indonesia. And coming to the point of characteristics of tiger, the characteristics of tiger include they are solitary, nocturnal, and they are territorial animals, terrestrial animals. And then the stripes of tigers are as unique as human fingerprints. Then yeah, this is all about its characteristics, but also they also represent the flagship species. They also represent umbrella species. Umbrella species in the sense the conservation of that particular species leads to the conservation of an entire ecosystem. They come under flagship species, umbrella species. I'm sorry. Like consider, for instance, if the tiger numbers dwindle, what happens is the population of its prey species, for instance, the sambar deer, increases. And when this happens, the trees, they depend more on the trees and shrubs for their food, right? So basically, it might not be sufficient for those increasing population of sambar deer. And when this happens, all those organisms, when these numbers increase and when they eat it more, what happens is those organisms which are dependent upon these trees and shrubs, they might get destroyed, and again it leads to the destruction of an entire ecosystem. So that means the conservation is extremely crucial for the conservation of entire ecosystem. And coming to flagship species, those species which are extremely important for the purpose of for the purpose of their uniqueness. You consider, for instance, they are both vulnerable and distinct at the same time, like the African elephant. And when they are vulnerable, that means their numbers are dwindling, and we need to conserve the particular species. So those are flagship species. We can write them as vulnerable, at the same time distinct. So the Royal Bengal has its own unique characteristics, and at the same time it is vulnerable in the sense when the numbers are dwindling. So they represent flagship species, umbrella species, and I'll discuss about the conservation efforts with regards to the tiger in the next video. Thank you. Stay tuned for more updates.